What's going on, everybody? We're finna get ready to get the show started. Coming on in, definitely gonna have to get into this game because let's just say it was not a fun one to watch. It was definitely a it's probably a performance none of us will ever forget, and it's probably gonna be one that we wish we can forget. So we're definitely gonna get this show started. Everybody, go ahead and share the show out for me. Um, and let everybody know they can come on in. I am actually trying to slowly do that as we speak. Y'all know with me, Facebook sometimes can be fickle and won't let you share because they think that you're violating community guidelines and things like that. So I'm sharing it to a couple of pages and then I'm just gonna get it started. So I need y'all help to do that. I need y'all help in passing the word to everybody else. They can come on in and join in for the show as well. And we're gonna go ahead and get this show started in 30 seconds. Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody? What's going on, Titan Nation? Normally I would say good evening, as if I'm just excited about everything, but today is not really an exciting day. Um, it's kind of a tough day for Titans fans and for everything that happened. But welcome into TNT post game. I'm your host, Blue Enforcer, aka The Truth, and we're not gonna really waste any time. Just go ahead, share the show out. Let everybody know where they can join in the show. And then that way, they can come on in and um join the party because this game between the Browns and the Titans was that there's a lot that we're going to talk about with this game. And let's just be honest with that. But definitely, everybody, go ahead and share the show out to everybody. Let's get the formalities out of the way, do some house cleaning. Go ahead and follow on Facebook, Instagram, and also Twitter X if you haven't already been following those. And also, definitely make sure after the show that you also download, you get on with Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google or Apple Podcasts, because this episode will be out on that channel. Will be out on that channel later this evening. And so I'm definitely going to put that out as well. Everybody come on in and make sure you smash that like button for me as well. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, to the YouTube channel, and go ahead and hit ring that bell and hit all under your notifications so that way um, you will be notified when I do go live. So definitely go ahead and make sure you do hit that button, and we're gonna go ahead and get right into everything that happened because it, it it's time for me to get some stuff off my chest about yesterday. I didn't do a post game right away from from the House of Samurai, where I was with the Titans fan club of Memphis. Um, and I think it was just because I was just so disgusted with how everything happened that I just said, you know what, I need a moment because I think I would blow a gasket if I just went off right then off of what happened yesterday. But let's just be perfectly honest. I put the score up here. I know it hurt. I talked to Kent last night. I know he's once again jumped off the Titan train, and and Kent knows I love him, but I'm gonna keep it real with him. Hey, you know, I know it hurts right now for Titan fan. It hurts us all. And I know a lot of us want to give up. And, you know, if you give up on this season, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you at all. Because there's a part of me that's kind of thinking that way as well. I just say, I know there's a lot of people out there that's just ready to say, I don't want to be a Titans fan no more. And I quit. You know, give me a second. Okay, yeah, I'm actually on my phone right now. I apologize very much for all of this going on. I know I probably lost some people and things like that. So I'm gonna go on my phone because I'm not sure what just happened with my computer. I'm gonna try to restart it, but has some malfunction with my microphone and my camera, and so I'm trying to kind of work through that. But we're gonna continue on. We're gonna press on, and I mean, a Titans will also do this to you. A Titans will also do this to you to where all your stuff, all your shit just malfunctions around you, and it does nothing but make me even more upset about this game. And it's it just I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize again for all of this. Thank y'all for sticking with me on everything. I know there's some people that probably went ahead and got off, but um, when you get a malfunction like that, that just makes you upset even more about this albatross of a football game that happened yesterday. Titans fall 27-3 in embarrassing and humiliating fashion. And the fact that my computer decides to malfunction on me just pisses me off even more about this game. And it's the fact that the Tennessee Titans basically shit themselves. And I apologize, excuse my language, but that's basically what happened. The Tennessee Titans crapped themselves. And this was embarrassing. This was humiliating. And this was probably, I would say, one of the worst performances in recent memory. Now, I know we had a 59-0 loss and a 55-7 loss to Green Bay. But this game has to be up there as one of the worst performances um, I've ever witnessed. This Tennessee Titan team, from the kickoff, looked bad. Everyone looked bad. Offense looked bad. Defense looked bad. Special teams looked bad. Everybody looked bad. I might have my computer back up. I had to restart everything. But I mean, we're going to talk about who's to blame for all of this, but let's break down everything that happened slowly. The first part of all of this is the offense. And we have to start with the offensive line. The offensive line had a really, really terrible performance. And I know there's a lot of people out there that's going to say it was just 1 week, shake it off. We move on to Cincinnati. But no, 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 no. We're not going to do that here. Because the fact of the matter is, this performance was so terrible, we have no choice but to talk about it because it was that bad. It was that bad of a performance. I get it. The Miami Dolphins dropped 70 on Denver. Honestly enough, if the Browns wanted to, they could have dropped 40 on us. I could definitely have seen that happen. And it wouldn't have shocked me one bit. We're going to try this again on my computer, but my phone will be on standby. So we're going to try this again. And see if we have some success. This this game, here we are. We gonna try this again. Hopefully don't go off on me. But this game was embarrassing in a lot of ways. And again, let's start with the offense. I know we got Derek Roberts up in here. We got C Dub, we got Big Xavier, we got Xavier, Big Zach. I know we got Brandon up in here too, Zarice. Here's the thing. Starting the offense. The offensive line. The offensive line, I honestly said after last year, going into this season, we all thinking the offensive line couldn't possibly be any worse than last year. It couldn't possibly be worse, could it? Well, it got worse. It was worse. And we're going to get to the main culprit in just a bit. Now, first off, I am going to say a masterful job by the Cleveland Browns. Because I got to give credit to them. That was a hell of a game plan. Jim Schwartz played a masterful game of chess. We knew that Jim Schwartz was a very good defensive coordinator. He was here for a couple of years. And I was listening to A to Z Sports this morning and listening to some other shows. And I know Austin Stanley basically on Friday was saying, the Jim Schwartz thing is not really a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal at all. He's not going to play a factor into this game. Oh, yes, he did. He played a major factor in this game. And I'll get to y'all comments in a minute, but I need to let this out. He played a major factor in this game. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is the sole reason. Well, he's not the sole reason, but his strategy was one of the reasons that the Browns completely destroyed the Tennessee Titans offense. Yes, the offense is a little different, but a lot of the personnel was still the same. Jim Schwartz had that defense ready for anything and everything. He had that defense, whatever we wanted to do, Jim Schwartz and that defense took it away. That Browns defense is legit. Let's be honest. And I'm just telling some of you, I know a lot of y'all don't want to give the Browns credit, but you got to do that. Jim Schwartz, AZ Mix said it. Jim Schwartz knew exactly what to do, how to do it, and where to do it. He knew. And that Browns defense is top 3 to top 5 in every category. They are for real. That Cleveland Browns defense is a championship Super Bowl level defense. They took apart the Cincinnati, who has a very, very good offense. Pittsburgh, they didn't really get much going. They got a couple of big plays, but mainly what cost Cleveland in that game against Pittsburgh was Deshaun Watson. And we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson a little bit. But the offensive line, particularly Aaron Brewer at center, Chris Hubbard at right tackle, and he who sucketh at left tackle, who's going to get his own part. in just a bit. Dylan Radins and Daniel Brunskill are the least of the problems on this offensive line. The offensive line stunk. And it played bad play from Ryan Tannehill, which he reverted back to week one Ryan Tannehill. And it made you ask the question, and there was a question put out from this game, and I'm asking y'all, what was more realistic? Are we seeing, is this offense going to be more of what we saw in week one in New Orleans? Is that the reality? Or is it more like week two against the Chargers, and maybe what happened yesterday was just an anomaly? What I'm thinking is, this game showed me we are closer to what happened in New Orleans than we are to what happened last week against the Chargers. I think the game against the Chargers was an anomaly. That was an anomaly. Because Ryan Tannehill reverted back to his scared, old, unathletic self. And it ain't all Ryan Tannehill's fault. Absolutely not. There's a lot of blame to go around. But I'm just going piece by piece. Then you have guys like Chig, who is supposed to be an up-and-coming star on this team, doesn't block well and drops some passes he had no business dropping. Treylon Burks dropping passes. Josh Weil is just a guy on the team. He does nothing. Trevon Wesco is absolutely awful. Awful. The only guy that really did anything was DeAndre Hopkins. And I felt sorry for him and Derrick Henry. And Tajay Spears couldn't really do nothing either. And Tim Kelly, it didn't matter what he called. With that offensive line, particularly left tackle, Myles Garrett basically dominated the game by himself. The Cleveland Brown defense dictated how the game was going to go from the kickoff. They dictated how this game was going to go. They set the tempo early and basically said, for 60 minutes, we're going to kick your ass. And that is exactly what happened. The Cleveland Browns kicked the Titans' ass for 60 minutes. This was one of the worst ass whoopings I had ever seen. 59-0 to New England a long time ago. They didn't try in that game. They didn't try. This game, I mean, yeah, they tried, but it didn't matter. This was a old-fashioned, your mama took you behind the woodshed, but made you go get your own switch that your mama or your daddy was going to whoop you with. Took you behind the woodshed, whooped you within an inch of your life where your butt almost fell off or you couldn't sit your ass down for 2 weeks. Kind of ass whooping. This was worse than the ass whooping you get for a bad report card. Worse than an ass whooping that you get if, you accidentally hit the car. It was worse than any ass whooping a parent could give you. This was worse. And the whole bad play energy that the offense was dealing with also trickled over to the defensive side. The defense didn't play well either. We couldn't get home on sacks. We had a couple of sacks, but there were times we had Watson where we could have put him down on his ass, and we didn't. He got away and made plays. So the vaunted defensive front we're supposed to have was very much neutralized. Now, again, the Cleveland Browns have a pretty decent offensive line. Not great, but still we could have gotten some pressure, but we did not do very well in that. And don't get me started on the secondary, particularly Christian Fulton and Sean Murphy-Bunting. Now, Sean Murphy-Bunting, he tried. He got the fumble. He got the fumble and the turnover early in the game, which the Titan offense did absolutely nothing with. And there's something else on the offense I need to get back to. But Sean Murphy-Bunting created the only turnover. There was a defensive pass interference I thought was horrible, because I think it was like 4th and 4, and he had him within 5 yards, and they still called it. But I told y'all there was an article that I believe I saw on Titans Wire where this particular referee tends to favor the home team with his calls. Kevin Byard, I felt sorry for him too, because a lot of the things that were happening were away from him. Amani Hooker had that, one gaff on a deep play to Amari Cooper, but a lot of the problem in the secondary rests on the shoulders of one guy, Christian Fulton. Christian Fulton, I am completely done. And this shows that 2020 draft class is probably the worst draft class in the history of the Tennessee Titans or the Houston Oilers. That 2020 draft class has given you absolutely nothing. Nobody. Isaiah Wilson doesn't even make it through a couple of snaps, and he's done after a game. Christian Fulton is proven, and in a contract year, and I know it's early, Christian Fulton ain't no shutdown corner. He's not even a good corner. He sucks, and he's too injury prone. So I'm done with Christian Fulton. Trade him if you want. Roger McCreary at least tries like he gives a damn. I would at least put him on the outside. I know he's a bit undersized and things like that. And then you could put Elijah Molden in the nickel, because they just brought Dane Cruikshank back onto the practice squad, which he's going to probably get elevated because he's familiar. And he can be that third safety. He'll get back in the saddle. But Christian Fulton was awful. Absolutely awful. And I'm going to get some of the comments from earlier, but Steve Crosby says, do you see Christian Fulton being traded on Halloween? I mean, I don't know who would want him. I don't know who would want him. CW mentioning Farley. I thought about Caleb Farley, but I don't know where he's at mentally. And I'm not talking about football-wise. I'm talking about personally. I'm talking about personally after the loss of his dad. Where is he at mentally? That's going to be the question. So the defense had a pretty rough day. But back to the offense, and I was very disappointed with the defense. But back to the offense, and there was one particular part of the game that I knew we were screwed. Had a good drive going in the 2 minutes. Had a chance to either make it 13-10 or at least 13-6. 20 seconds to go, you take your last time out after a stupid play in the flat to Tajay Spears, and you have to burn your last time out. Now, you could have went one of two ways. You either kick the field goal and you go 13-6 into the locker room, or you try to go for the score. I was with going for the score. And I'm thinking like this. On that particular play, I'm like, hey, you take a shot at the end zone. If nothing is there right away, throw the ball into the crowd, kick the field goal. I don't disagree with going for the touchdown. You had about 13 seconds to go, because even if it's, you had about 15 seconds to go, because even if it's incomplete, you probably got like, 8 to 10 seconds, kick the field goal, then you kick it off, they kneel, you go into the locker room. Instead, once again, the culprit just lets Myles Garrett by, draped all over him, and he still sacked Tannehill, and that killed everything. You get nothing out of it. And then you get nothing out to start the third quarter. You had a chance to go 2 for 1. Instead, you go nothing for nothing. And so, who do you blame for this loss? I have an answer, and I know it's an answer some of you will be correct with, but some of you are going to think it's too much. And honestly, if you think it's too much, you are wrong. I'm just going to say it. But first off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Andre Dillard, or Dill Picklard, as I like to call him. Why I call him that? Because his play is as nasty and as tasteless as a dill pickle. I know there's some people out there that like dill pickles and think they're good and delicious. I ain't one of those people. I think a dill pickle is one of the nastiest pieces of food on the planet Earth. It is nasty. It is disgusting. I can't stand it. Now, sweet pickles I do like. I don't mind. But dill pickles are just nasty. And that's exactly how I describe Andre Dillard's play, not just in this game, but pretty much ever since the season started. And the fact of the matter is, Andre Dillard, and again, we went back to what we said earlier. It couldn't possibly get worse, could it? Man, my wife and I was talking. We were listening to Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone earlier. And we're all thinking, yeah, it couldn't possibly get worse, right? And my wife was like, G was like, hold my drink. Hold my drink. Let me assert this guy. Oh, yes. And yesterday I mentioned it on the stream. I'm like, is Dill Picklard, is Andre Dillard just as bad as the dud Dennis Daly, or is he worse? At first, I'm thinking, okay, he's probably just as bad. But then Buck Rising, before I cut him off, because I'm really not the biggest fan of him, put in some very, very, very staggering numbers, which told me something. In 16 games last year, the dud gave up 54 pressures and 12 sacks. It might have been 13. But I want to say it was 12 sacks and 54 pressures in 16 games. Andre Dillard is on his way to giving up 4 times that amount. If you think about it, he is about to give up that many. He has already, in 3 games, given up 7 sacks in 3 games. The Dug gave up 12 sacks in 16 games. Dill Pickard has given up 7 sacks in 3 games, including 3 to Myles Garrett yesterday. Myles Garrett basically had his lunch. Myles Garrett basically kicked his tail and then he kicked his ass, and then he walked up to him after the game and basically said to him, hey, this is how I kicked your ass. This is how I kicked your ass. He basically gloated in the man's face and showed him, man, I kicked your ass. This is exactly how I kicked your ass. Now work on it. And so Andre Dillard is pathetic. Terrible in the worst way. And if you want to make matters worse about what happened, I want y'all to hear something. And so a lot of you probably have heard this. But here was Andre Dillard. Normally, like Dennis the Dud Daily, whenever he, after a game, he got the heck out of there because he knew everybody wanted to talk to him and everybody wanted to find out what the hell did you do. But this is Andre Dillard after getting his ass kicked by Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it's never an easy thing. You got a lot of good players around the league, and this team has had some really good guys in there. But 3rd and long, they're going to be coming and bringing in pressures, and we just got to do better as a unit. I got to do better as an individual, and to sit down those pressures and those defenders.
Obviously, Myles Garrett, one of the better players in the league. What was happening there as far as your matchups with him?
I think I just need to do better with my hands and my sets and all that stuff. I talked to him after the game, and he told me his inputs. Because I'm just trying to get better, and so he kind of told me what he saw, what he liked about my game, and what I could have done differently. So,
do you appreciate that kind of constructive criticism?
I definitely do. Yeah, especially from a player as good as him. And it's cool to see it from his perspective.
For you, after a performance like that, how do you process it, how you work through it, and then spin it forward to the next game?
When you go through stuff like that, all you can do is just keep playing the next play and don't let your head hang, because then you'll just spiral and it'll get out of control. But what you do from that is you just learn from it. You watch the film, you study it, take the constructive criticism, and you just move forward, and that's all you can do.
And that is your left tackle, Andre Dillard. Courtesy from Buck Rising of A to Z Sports. That was on Twitter. I want to get y'all thoughts on that. Now, he was trying to get out of there. They got to him and was able to get questions on him like, what the heck happened out there with Myles Garrett? And he also mentioned, working with hands, and, Myles Garrett talked to him after the game saying, this is how I was successful against you. This is what you need to work on. Now, I get it. That type of stuff probably happens all the time after a game. Because a lot of times after a game is over, opposing players, they go up, shake, hug, because some of them are friends. That happens all the time. However, 98% of the time, you never hear what those private conversations on the field after a game are. You really don't hear about it, especially after a loss like this. Like 70-20, when the Dolphins kicked the living crap out of the Broncos. You're not hearing any comment from Bronco players saying, hey, from Patrick Surtain, basically Tyreek Hill coming up to him saying, hey, this is how I got past you. This is what you can work on to be a better corner. You ain't hearing Patrick Surtain coming out and saying that. I mean, a game like that, you don't want to talk to anybody. And what I took away from that, Buck basically said on his primetime show, I felt sorry for him. I do not. You are a fucking professional football player. At least have some backbone. Have some dog in you. And the way that looked, he looks naive. He acted naive. Like he really didn't know what just happened out there. He acted like he was oblivious to the fact that he just got his ass kicked by Myles Garrett for 60 minutes. The dude had a career day against you. I think he only had like 2 sacks on the season, I want to say. And you gave him 3.5 sacks. That's basically worse than the 5-sack performance. Yeah, he had 4.5 sacks on the year. Well, no, I take that back. Yeah, 4.5 sacks on the year. He only had 1 sack all year coming into this game. And he had 3.5 sacks in this game. So that just tells me he's never going to be good. He's going to suck for a long time until the Titans make a change. And Mike Vrabel mentioned making it a change, but I mean, he got whooped all over the place. He didn't run block well. He didn't pass block well. He has no anchor worth a damn. If you bull rush him, you will win. Even I can see that. And I used to play defensive end 20 years ago. And I think if I got out there right now, I could whoop Andre Dill Pickle's ass. And I beat him like a drum. One of my coaches in high school told me that was basically said to a lot of the guys on the defensive line, one thing about Chris Newell, he knows his technique. He knows what technique to use, and that will work. My swim move was my go-to move. If I get a swim on you, I'm beating you. Doesn't matter if I'm not as strong as you or I'm not as big as you. If I get that quick shot of the swim move, I'm getting past your ass. Andre Dillard is too damn slow to even be able to get a good kick step. I'll be around him already. But you know what? Andre Dillard is a big part of the blame along with Tannehill. But he's not, I mean, yes, there's enough blame to go around. Everybody played bad. And this is what I've always said. And me and Kent talked about this yesterday. And after I say this, I'm going to get to your comments. Because we're going to close this out. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And Mike Vrabel is showing he still has not learned from history. The Titans have now lost 9 of their last 10 ball games, dating back to the last victory against the Packers. They have been 1-9 ever since. And I always say, if it's 1 or 2 players that play bad, it's usually that player's fault. Like against New Orleans, we can clearly point to Tannehill. We can clearly point to Tannehill, which meant it was on him. But if an entire unit, like the offensive line, if the entire offensive line is looking bad, then you might want to look at the offensive line coach. Or if receivers look bad, you look at the receivers coach. But if an entire offense looks bad, then you need to look at your offensive coordinator. But I'm going to go further than that because it wasn't just the offense that looked bad. The defense looked bad too. So you would think, well, should I look at Terrell Williams? Should I look at Chris Harris? Or should I look at Shane Bowen? No, it goes further up than that. If your entire team looks bad, offense and defense, it's about damn time you take a look at the head coach of this team. Because I know a lot of the local media in Nashville will not press Mike Vrabel. Some of them will be scared. Some of them are soft. They won't go after him with the hard question. Now, guys like TD, Teron Davenport, Miss Teresa, Jared Stillman, Paul Kaharski. As much as I'm not really a big fan of Paul Kaharski, I know those four, they're going to go after Vrabel. They're going to ask him the tough questions. They're going to ask him questions that probably makes him feel uncomfortable. And with all due respect to Jim Wyatt, and I love Jim Wyatt. I love his work and what he does. And I love Mike Keith and Amy Wells. But none of them will ever ask Mike Vrabel a tough question, mainly because they work for the team. Jim Wyatt used to be able to do that. But the Titans hired him as their senior writer mainly to limit what he can do and say. Because whatever he's going to put out, the team has to approve it. They knew that Jim Wyatt was getting the scoops and would ask the tough questions. So they figure, no, let's bring him inside. Give him a big job, give him extra money, but let's shut him up a little bit so he won't, put out all the big scoops that's going on around the team. That's basically what they're doing. And Derek Roberts said, and Derek, if you can't, send me that. Send me that. Because I want to see it. And of course Vrabel is like that. Because he's arrogant and everything. And a lot of times, the media don't want to put ownership on where it belongs. And that is on Mike Vrabel. This game is Mike Vrabel's fault. He is to blame. He is ultimately responsible. And this is why. Mike Vrabel, you're the head coach of this football team. Yes, I know. A lot of media and a lot of people will say, you really look at the players because they got to execute. They got to execute. True. But whose job is it to put the players in the best position to execute properly? That is the head coach's job. It is his job to make sure his assistant coaches do their jobs. So at the end of the day, yes, Ryan Tannehill sucks. It's over for him. Like I said in my post, he is done. D-O-N-E, done. Stick a fork in him. He's done, y'all. Done. I just want to put emphasis on that for all the Tannehill lovers out there. Chris Frazier. All the Tannehill lovers out there, as much as I love this guy. Great one. For all the Tannehill lovers out there, I need y'all to understand something, and I love each and every one of y'all. He's done. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that will say, if you criticize the team or, you don't believe in this team, you're not a real fan. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all know this about me. It's called Titans and Truth for a reason. I love this team with everything I have in my soul. I will live and die for this team. But I'm also going to tell the truth. I'm going to give them all the praise in the world when they do well. But I'm also going to criticize them when they don't. I'm not one of these type of guys that's going to be like, oh, it's going to be okay. We'll get them next time. We'll come back. I mean, eventually, yeah, you'll go into the next game saying, hey, we got to win this one. But right now ain't one of those times. I'll forget about this game tomorrow. But today, hell no. Mike Vrabel is the reason. Mike Vrabel is responsible for this loss. Majority of the pie. 80% of I would say 75% of this loss is Mike Vrabel's fault. 15% Andre Dillard, 10% Ryan Tannehill. And in that 75%, that includes the defense. That includes Tim Kelly. That includes Shane Bowen. It mainly falls on Mike Vrabel's head. And so somebody earlier, Jeffrey, I'm going to go back and see if I can find the comment, but he said, is it too early? Is it too early to put Mike Vrabel on the hot seat? Is it too early to light a fire under Vrabel? No. No, it's not. Now, I know there's a lot of media who will be like, well, Mike Vrabel, he's such a good coach. He's such a good coach. He was coach of the year. Yeah, he was coach of the year 3 years ago. He was coach of the year 3 years ago. That was then. NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. And lately, you have lost 9 of 10. That's not good. And Mike Vrabel, and he mentioned they're going to take a look at possible changes on the offensive line. Hopefully, when Skoronski gets back, they decide either to put Skoronski at left tackle or Dylan Radins at left tackle. Either one of them options will be way better than Dill Pickles. Even MPF, when he comes back in 3 games, might be a better option at left tackle. Yeah, defense needs to be doing some tackling drills because they didn't do well tackling. And see, this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. Killer Cam comes in and says, it's too early, it's only week 3. What the hell y'all giving up for? We need an O-line and we need a quarterback to replace Fulton's weak tail. Let me tell you, I don't think anybody has given up on the season. But obviously, you're not paying attention to the trends of what's going on with this team and why a lot of people are really doom and gloom at the moment. And maybe I'm wrong. And if I am, I apologize. However, here's the truth for you, Mr. Killer Cam. The Titans suck right now. They suck. Okay? Ryan Tannehill sucks. The offensive line is not great. The offensive line sucks, mainly Andre Dill Pickles. The defense is not as elite as we all thought they were going to be. And another thing that's missing from this, Harold Landry has been incredibly absent in 3 games. Yeah, he got a sack against the Chargers, but, and I get it, he's coming back from the injury. Arden Key hasn't really done much except get a penalty. But again, it's all on Mike Vrabel. And until Mike Vrabel makes some changes and stops being stubborn, this team will go nowhere fast. That's why this season doesn't look good. There needs to be a change at left tackle, but I'm not getting my hopes up that a change is going to be made. AZ Mix says, this team is turning my hair gray. Hey, I told y'all yesterday, the Titans are the type of team you better have some blood pressure medication. Because they will get your blood pressure all the way up. They will bring you up just to tear you down.
Now, AwakenTheEternal.com says when they stack the box, you need to run the ball. But here's the problem. There's no holes. Offensive line ain't opening up none. Now, CW believes that Vrabel will get this team turned around. I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in that. Not a true head coach. I agree. Not a good one right now. And Darren Roberts says the media is scared of Vrabel because he's a jerk at the podium. I'd be like, you know what? I would be a jerk right back. Professionally. I would be a professional jerk right back at him. And I wouldn't care if I pissed them off. I want answers. The fans want, y'all want answers. It is his job to give us answers when we ask the questions. And I know he'll be Belichickian. He's going to duck around the question. Team is reflection of a head coach. And right now, they ain't good. So the fact about it, like, what can they say? Get faster? Yeah, because that whole thing went around too. And Big Jeff basically commented and said, the whole coach better play better, do better. It's time to actually do it. He talked about that. Byer talked about it. Henry talked about it. I mean, the question is Vrabel starting to lose the locker room? Is he starting to lose this team? I'm starting to think he is. Because you have your three of your leaders mentioning that mantra, saying it's not really working, then there's an issue. And so that's why I put the blame solely at the head of Mike Vrabel. This game was his fault. He's the reason we lost. He did not have this team ready to play. Jim Schwartz knew how to attack our offense, and he probably gave Stefanski some extra pointers on how their offense could attack our defense. And Mike Vrabel acted like he wasn't ready. He had that look like this, like he was lost, like he had no idea what to do. We got outplayed, outcoached, outclassed, outgunned, outmanned, out everything. This game could have been 40-3, and it wouldn't have shocked me. There were times I had to laugh to keep from crying. I had to laugh to keep from being so upset. And CW said he answered all the questions today I saw. Yeah, he probably gave a lot of coach speak. He probably ducked around. He answered questions, but he answered the way that we would want him to answer it. He probably did the Belichickian thing. I'm sure. I'll try to go back and listen to it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And a lot of people, CW saying to calm down, we were 2-4, got to the AFC Championship. That was because we had a sorry-ass quarterback by the name of Marcus Mariota. Made the change, things went better. And the reason why I'm blaming Mike Vrabel so bad is because Mike Vrabel will never once take accountability and say, this is my fault. This was my fault. I'm the reason we lost. I did not do a good job having my team ready to play. And then you can trickle down to other things like, our offense has struggles, blah, blah, blah. We had some blown coverages defensively. But go ahead and put ownership on you. You know how you do that? Because a lot of y'all who follow me on Facebook on my personal page saw I put a post out after the Colorado game. And I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on blast. I was going to save this for Wednesday, but I think it's appropriate that I mention it. I'll probably mention it again on Wednesday for some who miss it. So Saturday, Colorado, the talk of the college football world, took on the Oregon Ducks. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and Colorado got their asses kicked, 42-6. And so I put out a post. And I said, to all y'all new Prime Colorado bandwagon fans, y'all all right? Y'all okay? I was messing with people because all I kept seeing a lot on my timeline was about Colorado football. That's my team. You know, I'm supporting Deion Sanders. And a lot of people came from my head. A lot of people fired back at me, which I expected. I knew I ruffled some feathers. That was kind of the point. I wanted to see how people would respond to my question. And so yesterday during the game, a couple of gentlemen in particular did the same thing to me from yesterday's game. And I put a post out and I said, hey, I'm upset. I'm humiliated. We got our butts kicked. To all y'all Colorado fans, if y'all want to come for me, please bring it. And basically what I was doing was like, yep, I should know that they were coming for me. And I'm like, hey, bring it on. I deserve it. That's fine. My team got our asses kicked. I'll admit that. I'll take accountability for that. I'll stand there and take it. But what kind of impressed me and is making me rethink how I feel about Deion was the press conference on Saturday. I listened to the press conference. Now, I'm not going to go goo-goo and gaga and become a Buffaloes fan and be all, Coach Prom is the man, Coach Prom this, Coach Prom that. I'm not going to do that. But after listening to that press conference on Saturday, I got damn respect for that man as a head coach, as a college football head coach. He did exactly what Vrabel needs to do. Deion took ownership of that loss. He was like, it was an old-fashioned butt whooping. We got our butts whooped. Starts with me. He took ownership. He held himself accountable. He held his team accountable. That is what a head coach is supposed to do in a situation like that or in a situation like this. When has Mike Vrabel ever done that? Yeah, the coach better play better, do better stuff. That ain't taking accountability. That is not putting ownership on you. And Lou Man says the Colorado Buffaloes ain't Tennessee Titans. Here's the thing, though. Both of those situations are kind of linked. Colorado was the hot topic, and they got their asses kicked. We were coming in on a little bit of a high, got our asses kicked. The reason why I brought this up is the dynamic of the two coaches in the press conference after the game. Deion took ownership. He took ownership. He took every question. He took them bullets on. Those reporters fired friendly shots at him. He took every question. He didn't cut nobody off. He didn't disrespect nobody. Any question anybody asked, he was ready to take it on and answered it. Mike Vrabel doesn't do that. Mike Vrabel doesn't want the tough questions. He wants a question that makes him feel comfortable. That's what he wants. And you can't always give that to him. Mike Vrabel will try to duck around questions. Deion did not. Deion took it head on. He took the questions head on. He was very respectful and answered every last question that any reporters taught. And he ended and said, thank y'all, God bless y'all, and left. And that was after almost 10 minutes. So But again, Colorado was 3-0. He said we were 1-1. And no, I'm just looking at the dynamic of the coaches. Both teams got their asses kicked. Colorado, yes, was a 20-point underdog, but everybody was wondering, can they do it? Could they pull it off? Colorado is the talk of college football, the talk of sports. They have the same issue we did. No offensive line. I felt sorry for Shedeur Sanders. I felt sorry for Shedeur Sanders. And Man Hour says on his live, when do the Titans sit Tannehill? I would say the latest would be week 6 after the London game. Because Vrabel may talk about making changes, but until he does it, I don't believe it. This is the same guy that just kept trotting Dennis the Dud Daily out there every week, even though he was a turnstile. And he would do the same thing. And so it was a disgrace of a performance. We'll see what happens from here. We'll see what goes for, but I just had to get that off my chest. That was an absolutely embarrassing, humiliating, disgraceful performance. But I had to hold myself accountable because you know what? I did talk crap about Coach Prime. And, I kind of laughed in the faces of all the people that want to support Coach Prime and want to support Colorado now, who became new Colorado Buffalo fans. There were times I posted, I said, okay, where is the University of Colorado? Name me one Colorado Buffalo player that is actually in the NFL made it. And you can't say Cordell Stewart. Now, one person mentioned Chris Brown, former Titan. I was like, yep, that's one. And then another I thought about was Laviska Shenault. So yeah, I kind of, I kind of egged on the Buffalo bandwagon fans. I did. And so when we got our butts kicked, hey, I got to take the heat too. We got our asses kicked. We suck right now. Love my team, support my team, but we suck at the moment. Could we turn it around? Yeah. Yeah. We can still turn it around. Like everybody said at the beginning, we were 2-4, made it to the AFC Championship. We were 1-2 last year. Got to 7-3. Yeah, it's early. But like Lou, man, he don't want to put no blame on Vrabel. Then whose fault is it for that performance? It's Mike Vrabel's fault. And there is no other choice. It lays at the head of the head coach. He is the head coach of the football team. It starts with him. So everybody, we gonna see if they can rebound. They should be angry. They should be mad. Probably gonna have a stadium full of Bengals fans this Sunday. But we're gonna see. But I want everybody to go ahead and again, if you can, hit that like button one more time for me if you haven't already. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also got the Truth League report coming up in about 30 minutes. Just going to talk about week 3 NFL ball. So pass that on to your friends who are football fans, even if they're fans of other teams. That's what I want. I want all football fans in here, not just Titan fans for this show. We're going to just recap a little bit of week 3 and then, of course, give a little talk about the games that are going on right now. I'm definitely going to watch the Eagles and Buccaneers and things like that. So I'm about to get out of here on that, and we're going to do that. And then on Wednesday, we will preview the Cincinnati Bengals We will get ready for that game. Joe Burrow is active for this game, so I'm gonna assume he's going to go in the game against the Titans. So I know I've talked everybody's head off. I know I couldn't get to everybody's comments, and I apologize for that, but I had to get that off my chest. I thank everybody for tuning in. I know Miss Mims is very, very upset, and I understand that. You know, it might be time to look at Malik. It might be time to look at Will Levis. And that is exactly what happened. He had -2 yards before contact. And then 4 yards after. So he did all that just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Excuse me. So hopefully everybody has a good rest of the day. Hopefully everybody, has a good rest of your Monday. Definitely stay tuned for the Truth League Report. Let your friends know and come on in. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning into the show. And Eternal, like I said, I did try to deflect all your comments. I know I was talking, so I couldn't get to them all and everything. And I couldn't get to everybody's comments, and I apologize for that. I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. So Awaken, forgive me. And yet there are some Colorado players in the NFL. Just name me one. Besides Laviska Shenault, besides Cordell Stewart and Rashawn Salam, besides Chris Brown that we don't know. Hell, I can even say I don't know. I honestly don't know. So, but I have to hold myself accountable as well. But thank y'all for tuning into the show. I definitely do appreciate everybody. He said, just kidding. Just kidding. I'm like, I appreciate it. But go ahead and stay tuned for the Truth League Report. And Wednesday night, we'll talk Bengals. So good night, everybody. And thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a good one, and let's tighten up, because I guess that's all we know how to do, y'all.